All right, so look it. Just to get it out of the way. Yes, I was wrong. Yes, yes. The Brandon Royval prediction. I went 7-4 on the whole fight card. So I even said, my hats off to Joshua Van if he could get the win, and he got the win. He beat Brandon Royval at his own game. Honestly, I'm a little bit more disappointed too in Royval. Um, But I will say, and we got to read the comments too. We gotta. I don't know when we'll have time, but I want to go through the comments because we were. I was I was getting roasted, roasted. It's a- it- it- you know, it was a close fight, and Brandon Royval evidently Joshua Van showed that he could stand on the feet with him, and and he could beat him at his own game. I wish Brandon Royval showed him other layers to it, and I think even Brandon Royval came out and said, "I got stuck in the moment of like boxing, trying to prove a point, and he lost the point. Not a point in point, just the point he was trying to convey as a fighter."
Yeah,
And
the overall kind of like aspect of going for the win, I guess you
now
could say.
and it's almost like, hey, I can stand toe to toe with you. I'm gonna prove to you that I could do it, that I'm better at this than you. And he went to Joshua Van was able to go toe to toe with him. Now I will say this: it's a setup if he fights Alexander, but
So that
it's a
one's gonna be a setup.
oh, that's a setup.
Ah. Hey, that's gonna be another free fucking whatever. How many K views we get on Fight Night when that one goes down?
Oh, they're gonna nah, that's a setup though, bro. You don't know. You don't want that Pantoja
You don't
smoke, bro.
want that Pantoja. Well, that's what's
Pantoja
happening.
Pantoja's smarter than that though, bro.
Roy Val's fight IQ definitely it lost him the fight. Let's put it like that. And he even kind of came out with the quote saying like, "I'm like that. I'm like a. I don't know if you ever heard of it before. I didn't before he posted it, but he's like, I'm like a scorpion. I guess scorpions have a tendency to like, uh, sting frogs, even though frogs have a certain venom that kills them or something.
Right.
So he basically says that like I act against my best interest to put on a show
Yeah.
or even to try to like, get a win if I think I'm down. I'll even like get myself, how some guys if they're losing a fight, right? They're going to try to win, but they're not going to get knocked out. Roy Val, if he's losing a fight, I feel like what he said there too is like I'll put it all on the line like every time I need to. And it comes with its see the thing about Roy Val is it's given him the success to get to where he is today. It's really helped him out throughout most of his career.
That's
But
why
at,
he's a fan favorite.
but at times it fails him badly,
Right.
and this was one of those times where if he would have been more disciplined just a little bit more throughout each of those rounds, he could have actually won the rounds. But he
Yeah.
was giving them away, you know what I mean? And I think he recognizes that in hindsight. So,
And credit to Joshua Van, he stood in there and he beat Brandon Royval at his own game of like putting out how many punches he put out. Like he
well,
matched.
staying patient, right, and picking his shots versus Roy Val's complete
He looked
opposite approach.
he looked cleaner. He did
He
look
took the cleaner approach for sure.
really did. He looked cleaner in his punching and boxing ability, and he looked a little bit more powerful too.
Oh, definitely. And
Now,
also, I noticed with the front kick, he kind of was finding things in the fight, and then he would use it. Whatever was working at a high success rate, he was using it. So that's
yeah,
something Roy Val needs to kind of start doing too. Is like instead of spamming, find what works and then spam that. But Roy Val again, he throws so much fucking volume. I think he broke a record on
that's what I
Saturday.
meant too. Volume. He found someone because that's what I thought too. I didn't think Joshua Van would have the amount of volume that Brandon Royval did,
I
and
didn't
he
think so either.
and he did. So he showed us there is another gear he has. So that's why my hats off to him. Like what you said too, that front kick to the knee that was real crucial in that third round. It
Right.
almost turned the tide.
It won him the fight, I would say
It really
almost.
did.
Yeah.
And then that knockdown. You could even at the end, Brandon Royval, he knew he fucked up.
And then he started crashing out a little bit, you know, and then he ended the fight even worse after that.
Yeah.
So I think I saw Royval saying that he tried to fight Van at his own style, and so
Right.
that's what he does. And I guess, you know, like I said, it's gotten you to this point, but if you have dreams of kind of like elevating your career past this point, you got to make a couple adjustments. You're right there. It's more so your approach if you're Royval, you know, and maybe like a couple adjustments you can make in training to be cleaner in the fight.
Here's a crazy thing, bro. Joshua Van went from like not even ranked to the #1 contender in 12 months. I don't know if I've ever seen a faster rise in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
#1 contender.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wants to see Alexander on the ground, bro, because Alexander is not just gonna fight him standing up.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm thinking? I'm almost kind of like drawing. You know how JDM versus Bilal was a fight where I was counting out JDM. I was open about it. I was saying like I don't think JDM's got this. Kind of like what you're saying right now about Van. He doesn't have the grappling to hang. JDM shocked me, and I feel like I just feel like Van might have something like that going into this fight, where like he gets in the octagon and Pantoja isn't gonna look like himself with the style Van presents him. That's just kind of like a gut feeling I have. So we'll see.
My gut feeling it's a setup.
We're gonna find out. Make sure to call it a setup on Fight Week, so that we can get the fucking views.
I will.
They love that. That was so good, and the fact that I clipped it off too like that, like this is a setup. Oh my god, the thumbnail went crazy.
That was perfect timing on there, and I'll take the heat. I don't mind it.
Yeah, it's all good, right?
Yeah, but I'll still say it, like I've never seen a faster rise. That's my hats off to him.
I think 12 to #1 contender. Yeah, 10 to #1 contender.
And imagine how Charles Energy Johnson feels right now. He knocked him out.
I see him kind of. I'm not even using this as a disrespectful word, but I guess what fans are saying is he's coping online. You know, making all these tweets, kind of addressing like his I guess you call it also mental gymnastics. Like I beat Van, but I lost my next fight, but my stock is still high. And
it's I mean, bro, it has to be a hard pill to swallow.
It's definitely a hard pill to swallow because nobody's talking about him.
But that's the thing. Look how like not only was it luck but hard work on Joshua Van, and Joshua Van to swallow that loss and keep moving forward like he never got knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
You would have never, if a fighter just watched that fight and did not know how Joshua Van got to that position, they would have been like, he got knocked out? No way. Mm-hmm. Impossible. Like the rise he took, that is part luck.
There is some luck to it, right? And I think some of it is, and some of it is his youngness. You know, he's so young. He's so like almost ignorant.
He doesn't know what he doesn't know.
Yeah, exactly. He's ignorant a little bit to some of the stuff going on, and it helps him, I think.
So here's my thing. I hate to say it, but it's kind of like what happened with Steve Ursay. I think it's too fast, bro. I think he still needs another fight to like say this is where I love that, you know, he's getting a shot. I don't want to, you know, stop any man from getting a shot, but it's a setup.
Okay. All right. So MTK is going to go back to the fucking the well on this one.
I'm totally down.
Yeah, MTK is going back to the well on this one.
I'm feeling that motherfucker.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I
can't wait to do it with this one with you, bro. Yeah. Because oh man, they're gonna roast.
Thinking that, huh? You've been thinking that.
Oh, bro, like, but I mean, the way. Okay, here's the other thing. If Joshua Van would have knocked Royval out, I would have been like, all right, that bitch. Mm-hmm. Alexander Pantoja got the finish though. He not only did he do his job, he did it in a dominating fashion.
Yeah.
Like he left it no room for Kai Kara-France even to give him a shot to fucking try to knock his ass out. Because a lot of people thought Kai Kara-France could have knocked Pantoja out. Mm-hmm. If I think anybody would have said if Pantoja would have lost, he would have been KO'd by Kai Kara-France.
That was Kai Kara's only route to victory. But even I said one of the things I was saying was because I rewatched their Ultimate Fighter fight. And I saw that basically what happened there is Pantoja couldn't take down Kai Kara in that fight. So Kai Kara is the striker, right? So they went 2 rounds on the feet, and Alexandra won both rounds on the feet. So I don't know if you know this about the Ultimate Fighter, but basically, if you go 1-1 in the first 2 rounds, meaning both fighters win 1 round, it has to go to a third. But if one fighter wins both of the first 2 rounds, then it's over. And so Pantoja won the first 2 rounds on the feet. So that's why I was like, bro. And a lot of people are saying, oh, that fight's going to be close. That was a close fight on the Ultimate Fighter. And the only reason why is because Kai Kara stuffed the takedowns. But I watched that fight and I saw Kai Kara lose on the feet already. And I was like, dude, he's got no shot. He already lost on the feet to Pantoja.
Yeah.
You know?
And Pantoja is better.
He's better overall. I mean, he's a dog.
And this is what I was going to bring up to you, too. Do you saw how Pantoja, when they brought him in the ring, he tapped on his shoulders like, nah, dude, do the face-to-face
That's the part I'm talking about with Joshua Van, where he's naive a little bit. He's like ignorant. He doesn't know what's going on fully.
He's not he's in Pantoja, he's already a professional at it.
Exactly.
What his place, bro. And I wish you could play this, if you clip this, how he stood there and he looked at him. And who looked away first?
Van did look away first.
Did look away first. And I'm not saying, I think the moment was bigger than, that's a lot to put on a kid first time. Like, you not only did you win a fight, now you're going to go face the fucking champion after his fight. Like, he was a little starstruck, I think.
Yeah, I don't think he was starstruck, honestly. I think he just kind of, again, I just think he doesn't know what's going on half the time right now.
Well, no, that's
so
a lot
to take in there.
But that's a lot to take in on one night.
It's a lot to take in, but not if you don't know the magnitude of the situation you're stepping into.
Yeah.
I don't think Van at 23 years old is able to compute the magnitude of everything going on yet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was kind of like, okay.
He comes in, he's kind of saying what up to people. Like, he just doesn't fully but I think this will, a lot of times people break to the pressure. You saw Kai Kara France crying, that clip of Kai Kara France crying, talking about, I was embarrassed about my heritage. In my opinion, when I watched that, I'm thinking it's also because of he's feeling the pressures of the fight, you know? And so a guy like Van, I think his ignorance will give him the ability to walk into a fight week almost like light. Like, it's just like, hey guys, what up? What's going on? He doesn't understand yet. So we'll see. And maybe as time goes on, depending on how the promotion goes, maybe he will start to wake up and start to realize like, oh shit, and then start to kind of like react to some of the magnitude. But I'd like to see a little bit more before I make a judgment on Van. But I think he's like a fucking young buck. Like, he doesn't know shit. That's what it seems like to me.
I would say this, the future is bright for him.
The future is bright for sure.
Yeah, because he even if he lost to Pantoja, he still has, it's 23, 24. I mean, you got the rest of the future ahead of you.
Yeah, and one thing about the flyweight division that I kind of think is, how do I put this? Because you're saying like it's a setup, and I don't think it's fully a setup. I think he's probably earned his shot, but I will say there's not as much parity at flyweight, right? That's why you get these things where like Kaya Sakura, what's his name? Steve Erceg, and now you got Van, right? These are all like three guys who are basically getting title shots who go from like unranked to title shot within like 6 months, not even like a calendar year.
Because they don't have a lot of options.
There's not a lot of parity up there. There's only like a couple guys, and the top 5 have already lost to Pantoja. So it's one of those weird ones where you are getting some guys there earlier than maybe some other divisions would put them there.
See, if I was like Manel Cape, I would have been at that fucking fight.
Yeah. But he just pulled out of a fight, didn't he? He just pulled out of something.
He was supposed to fight Brandon Royval.
Okay, so Royval pulled out first, and then they rebooked it, and then fucking what's his name pulled out next. Yeah, so okay.
See, like that fight would be interesting to me. If Joshua Van beat Cape, I would have been like, yeah, give him fucking Pantoja. Like, I don't know. I just feel like he needs one more fight. But I'm already eating sand on this one. So
okay, all right, fair enough. I guess, and that's fine that you say one more fight. I guess, and I wouldn't even disagree with you fully. And I already kind of said it, but I'll just say again. I think that happens because there's not enough going on at flyweight. It's one of those where it's kind of like the women's divisions where everybody is 2, max 3 wins away from a title shot. I mean, wasn't Kai Kara like 1-1 in his last 2?
Yeah.
Coming off of just 1 win. Yeah, so even a guy like Charles Johnson, I know he might be kind of like confused at the moment, but if anything, I would just say for Charles, you got to just keep it plain and simple, Charles. You're 2 wins away, max 3 from a title shot. And that's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
reality of flyweight.
Yeah.
Once you get into the rankings, you're pretty much right there.
And two, like, because I know I've interviewed Charles at one time, and had a conversation with him. That loss was everything.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets that win, he's almost in a position where he was ahead of Joshua Van.
Mm-hmm.
But
you got to get name brands, right? So Charles is going to fight this no-name Russian guy right now who's extremely good, from what I hear. But again, you're not going to get the credit. Like Van will get for beating a Royval. And, to be honest, it seems like, this is all just a hypothetical. But to be honest, the guy that Charles is fighting could possibly be a good matchup for Royval. You feel me? He could possibly beat Royval, but he's not going to get the credit as if Van gets for beating a Royval, which is understood. So you got to get those name brands.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking too. I was trying to remember who Joshua Van fought before Brandon Royval.
Why are you holding it up like that?
So it doesn't look like I'm looking down.
Oh,
he beat Silva.
Okay.
So Silva, before Silva, it was like, who did he really fight?
Exactly.
So Silva really put him in a position to get him to, because Silva's was 12 or something ranked.
Right.
He took his ranking.
So it's one of those. Now, speaking of, because I think it's a great segue. You're talking about needs one more. So this will be the dangling carrot. We're gonna get into it, but to start it off, right? Ilia Topuria knocks out Charles Oliveira inside the first round. Cold.
Crazy.
Cold.
Crazy.
Now, just to give it a little preface, Paddy Pimblett steps in the octagon. People kind of now the campaign starts. The politicking starts. You know what I mean? Who's next? Who's number one contender? So just to go back to start it off in chronological order, Ilia Topuria knocks out Charles. Beautiful knockout. And now he's the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Overtakes Islam's spot.
It's crazy.
Crazy, right?
Right.
I saw you posted saying, I don't know why Charles stepped in there, like, right in the pocket like that. And that's one of my big things. I've been seeing a couple things. It was like, for me, what I was saying in a different way was Charles should have been using a lot of, like, lengthy striking techniques. A lot of body kicks and a lot of teep kicks, you know what I mean? And a lot of jabs and stuff like that. But throwing knees, like, that's way too close range for Ilia. Yeah. And Ilia looked thick as fuck in there. I gotta say that. Like, he was looking fucking big.
Yeah, I would say this, like, I agree with you on that. Like, it's like you need that fighter to have that long length to use that as like a distance management and jab him a couple times, right? Mm-hmm. Kick him. Make it like an outside game where he's having to almost like
get past these defenses before he can, throw his strikes.
Just to stand in the pocket. Evidently, we're seeing the evidence of what happens if you stand on the pocket. Evidently, the dude got hands. Mm-hmm. Evidently, he can knock motherfuckers out.
Well, think about this too. Charles is the only one to stand in the pocket. And dude, Ilia is so spot on with the shit. He's saying this would happen with Charles because he goes forward. He says the only reason why my other knockouts took longer with Max and Volk is because they ran. And look, when he knocked out Max and Volk, they're both on their back foot against the cage, right? So it's crazy to see. Like to be honest, Charles was kind of fucked either way with Ilia, but he didn't give himself any advantages stepping in close with him.
Yeah, at all. And what I thought too when I was watching the fight was that when they were close and like kind of grappling, Charles did look like he could kind of grab him and move him around and dictate where he puts him. And I was surprised that he didn't lean on that more and use his strength and just his eventually you get to a point where like if you're bigger than somebody, you're going to be able to push them around a lot more compared to a guy that's at your same weight length at 145. Like I don't know. I don't know, bro. Like I honestly think it's these next couple of fights that he has. I don't think he does that to Islam. I don't think he does that to Paddy.
Okay. Yeah, I think I don't even think, to be honest with you, I don't think it's as much of like Charles. I don't think he couldn't have done much. Even if you're saying like He should have maybe grappled him. In my opinion, I just feel like Charles was going to lose that fight. Probably either which way it went. You know, he didn't have much opportunities. If he would have grappled with him, he would have probably lost 2, and then we'd be sitting here today saying he should have kind of struck with him, right? So I think that really he was kind of fucked going into that.
Okay, and I can agree with that. I really want to see. I want to see a fight with him on the ground. Is he? You know, I see people comparing him to the next Mike Tyson. This is an MMA sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
The 3 guys that he's in, and I have to give my hats off to him, bro. You beat 3 fucking. They're legends in their own right. Volk is a legend in his own right. Yeah, I don't know how many title defenses he had. I don't know, 6.
Yeah, he had a lot.
He was mowing through people, bro.
One of the most in modern MMA history.
Right. So I know he's a legend, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he won it back, and he deservedly won that back to beat Max. And I don't like the talk track too. Like these guys are like 40 years old. Max Holloway was 33 when he lost.
Coming off biggest knockout of his career. Yeah, I don't subscribe to any of that. If
I don't either, dude. Like, nah, you fought these guys honestly. Maybe not at 28, 30, but they're not fucking 36, 37, 38 off 2 or 3 losses and shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I did see that too. Like he got Volk after losing to Islam. I put some weight into that a little bit.
That one I did, but then when you do it to Max, like on the second one, I'm like, okay, there comes a point where you can't be hating.
And here's the thing too. It's like if Volk got knocked out by Diego Lopez, then it'd be like, see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But no, that didn't happen. And he took some punches from Lopez.
Definitely. He
took
got a little bit rocked a little bit, if you remember.
Right,
that fight,
and he stood in the pocket. He wasn't scared because a lot of times you'd be scared to stand in the pocket, right?
Yeah, he was firing back and then rocking Diego actually.
And even the that first fight with Islam, I thought he won that last 5th round, but I thought Islam did kind of manhandle him a couple of those rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then he didn't, head kicked him and knocked him the fuck out. So I don't know. I'm.
So you're not gonna be sipping on Ilia's Kool-Aid? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
No, I'm not.
Damn, that's crazy work.
I'm not.
That's crazy work.
I think that, bro. Patty said he was walking around at 190.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I think that matchup is closer than people are making it out to be. People are talking about Patty's doesn't deserve it and all this shit. And in my opinion, man, I mean, I don't get how you can't sell this fight. The guy is undefeated in the UFC. You know, he beat Michael Chandler, the guy who was going to fight Conor McGregor.
He manhandled Michael Chandler.
So I don't get where people are kind of coming with this narrative of saying Patty doesn't deserve it. I guess because you got Armand kind of looming. But they say Patty doesn't deserve it because Ilia just kills him any which way he wants. And I get the narrative because Ilia has been so dominant. But I have been going against that narrative saying Ilia versus Patty is going to be a lot closer than you guys are thinking it is. And I'm glad to hear that at least you kind of think that too.
I honestly think that Patty's not dumb. He's really grown on me. I wasn't really the biggest Patty fan.
Yeah.
Past 2 fights, he has shown me what he could do on the ground. The dude's dangerous. And he's big. He's not a small guy. Mm-hmm. I could see him dragging Ilia down and fucking pushing his weight on him and just how big he is on him. There's something to be said about size, dude. Like, and I know in mixed martial arts, especially in jiu-jitsu, it's not about size, but I don't think Patty's going to play into the game of standing in a standing war with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to have his hands full.
Well, I think Patty's going to use a lot more IQ going in there. I think that Patty matches up a lot better, like you're saying, than people think against Ilia on the ground. I think that on the feet, we're going to have to see how it plays out, right? But again, Patty's got length. Patty's got size. Patty's got strength. So if you're talking about that fight, it's kind of one of those things where if you can come in with a decent enough game plan, you can manage on the feet better than how Charles did. Charles did kind of come in there with a shit game plan. We got to just be real about that. He probably would have lost either way, but he made himself lose like quick as fuck.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
In the top 4 guys in that with the top 3 guys for Ilia, Islam, Armin, Patty, right? And what way and what order they're going to do that. I saw Armin today talking about Islam beats JDM. Islam beats
Ilia.
Yeah, I beat Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Wishful thinking. I like where your head's at. Wishful thinking.
Yeah. So
And I think Armin's a beast too. I wouldn't hate seeing that Ilia fight versus Armin, but I'd love to see the Patty fight first. You could sell it.
yeah, you could.
It's already sizzling.
It's already started to fucking print money already. So that's what I was gonna ask you. You were talking about how Joshua Van, a guy might need one more. So how about Paddy Pimblett? Does Paddy Pimblett need one more, or is it ready to off to the races?
Run that motherfucker.
I mean, the guy's undefeated in the UFC. He's got like 6 wins.
Yeah.
Wins over Tony Ferguson, and people are gonna be like, well, Tony was washed, but again, he's a former interim champion. Michael Chandler, like, why not throw him to the fucking title already? If with the smoke that's here, I don't see why you don't do it.
This is what I saw. Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. Dustin said this is his last fight. They're fighting for the BMF belt. This is a fan fight. These guys aren't running for the title again. Benil Del Rouge. I don't see him fighting. I love that he got Moicano. I thought he really did a good job. Michael Chandler's not fighting for the title again. We saw just what happened to Charles Oliveira. There's like what we're seeing happening in the welterweight division is happening in the lightweight division, but it hasn't came to fruition yet. Mm-hmm. How the welterweight division is like, all the guys are right there, all of them right there. That Ilia shook things up, and Islam moving shook things up.
12 months from now, lightweight's going to be basically where welterweight is today.
Hopefully. I'm hoping. I'm trying
because
to
even think about Justin Gaethje, right? He's begging for that title shot. But again, 12 months from now, I don't think it's going to be the same conversation.
Yeah, because I could see...
He's going to be too old.
Justin's going to want to stand and bang, and we would see the same results.
Mm-hmm. It'd be a nice knockout for Ilia.
He slayed another legend. Ching!
Yeah. So here's what I'll say, right? And I'll start this off by saying I do think Ilia should fight Paddy next. It's already been started. Now let's break down some of the minutia of this, because there is a lot of minutia here. Apparently, minutia means there's like a lot of stuff like behind it that what meets the eye, but then there's a lot of inner workings behind it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So a lot of the inner workings behind it is like, let's start it off from the beginning of it. Paddy, when he got the microphone, they're saying Joe Rogan made a little bit of a mistake. They're saying that Joe Rogan kind of pushed the Paddy Pimblett fight, and Ilia called out Arman or something like that. Now, I do see what they're saying, because I replayed it, right? And the thing that pisses me off is I replayed it on YouTube, and they blanked out the swearing. And I think the part where he was cussing, he was calling out Paddy. But the part where he didn't cuss, he actually was calling out Arman. Because he was cussing, saying, like, you got this guy, beep, beep, beep. And then he's like, and then you got this guy who can't make weight because of his back issue.
I remember that.
So I'm ready for anybody, whoever. That's how Ilia said it, whoever. And the guy with the back issue is Arman, because he pulled out of the fight. And so Joe basically kind of like, the Arman thing skipped his mind. And so Joe was like, you're talking about Paddy? So Joe gave Paddy that shine. Joe kind of should have been more fair, but Joe's thirsting for that Paddy fight low key. That's what came out there. So yeah, Joe kind of pushed the Paddy thing, brought Paddy in the cage. Fast forward, right? They face off, a little bit of a push that Ilia does to Paddy. Then you go to the post-fight press conference, and Dana shuts it down. Now fast forward a little bit, because I watch everything.
Thank you, Dana, for showing up.
Yeah, shout out to Dana for showing up. Dana, though, when he shut it down, here's my thing. Give me like 2 minutes just to break this all down. So on the post-fight presser, Dana said he denied everybody. He denied Gaethje, right? He called Gaethje's demand for a title shot wacky. And to be honest, he said about Arman, he said when they asked, is Arman in good steps with the UFC? Is he in good graces now? He says it's a step in the right direction. It's not about it's not about getting in good graces. It's about the fact that you left us high and dry for a main event. You know what I mean? That we had already sold tickets for with your name on it. Mm-hmm. And so basically he said it's a step in the right direction. Now, a step in the right direction by no means you're getting the fucking title shot. It means you still have work to do. So he denies Justin and Arman. And then with Paddy, he talks shit on the face-off. But here's the thing. I think Dana White is down with the fight. I think that it got misconstrued. Because Dana explained why he didn't like that face-off. And basically he said Paddy and Ilia shouldn't have faced off, number one, because Ilia's family was in there. So he has his wife and kid in there, and then you see how it resulted in a push. So Dana's kind of just using hindsight, being like, see, it resulted in a push. I don't like that shit with the family in there because it could have gotten even more nasty.
Mhm.
Number one. And then number
Something
two,
they couldn't control.
right, it could have broken out into something like that. And
Right.
then number two, I think what it was is that Dana, oh, I had the other one. Dana with the wife and kid with the face off. Oh, and then it was just a big moment for Ilia. He had won his second belt in his second division. So it's a crowning achievement that honestly doesn't need to be cluttered with the face off with Paddy. He should just be celebrated in that moment. Because if you look after the face off, the post fight interview ended. Joe just basically said, congrats to Ilia, enjoy your win. And Ilia's like, thanks, let me go celebrate now. So it did kind of kill Ilia's moment of like speaking about the accomplishment, because right after that, you know, he said these two guys' names and then Joe brought Paddy in. So I think Dana's down with the fight, but he was just saying it was kind of like, it kind of went beyond his business practice in a way. He wouldn't have ran it that way, but it doesn't mean that he's not down for the fight. So all of the three, it seems like he's most down with Paddy. He just kind of didn't like how Paddy came in the cage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you my initial reaction.
Sure.
Remember when they had Sean O'Malley waiting for Aljo?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that time, and I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, when did the UFC start doing this? Like this WWE side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I cringed when I first watched it. I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is like, nah, dude, like don't do that. Let him have his time to shine. You could do that after the fact. Fast forward to how I think today. I love it.
You love the face-offs.
I love that they brought him in.
Mm-hmm.
B, why wasn't Dana in the cage? Where were you running off to?
That's what I was saying too. I guess I questioned it, so let me answer to it real quickly. I was kind of saying Dana, like, stay in there, but I think maybe he didn't want to get caught up in the traffic on the way out of the octagon.
That shouldn't matter. That should be neither here nor there.
That's my defense to Dana.
B, you're the one playing the maestro for all this shit.
The Vince McMahon.
At the end of the day, that's who we're seeing. It's not Hunter. It's not Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's not running the UFC. Joe Rogan is your guys' employee. He's a commentator.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the fucking puppet master fucking playing matchmaker. That's Hunter's job, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
So if you don't want that to happen, be in there. Be on the control everything. Don't play dumb after the fact. Like, oh, I don't want this. Nah, I didn't agree. I didn't agree with.
Especially when you know you got those three dudes standing out there. You got Gaethje, you got Armand, and Paddy, and you're just gonna walk away. Like, if you should have some kind of inkling that somebody's gonna face off.
And so like I said, I go back to the Aljo Sean O'Malley one. I remember when I watched it, I was like, oh, this is what the UFC is doing now. They're facing people up right after the fight. I thought it was a little disrespectful. I thought it was distasteful. I was like, oh, the UFC is better than that. They don't need to do all that. They don't need to muddy that. But then this is where it's going though. It's a WWE style thing.
Definitely.
They could sell the fight. They could use that footage when Sean Strickland and DDP got into it. Remember? He could sell they immediately fucking B-rolled that motherfucker.
Right.
Okay,
especially in today's generation with all the cameras, with all of us reposting it.
Right.
You know, you almost have to.
And so here's the thing too. So like, I knew it wasn't so like premeditated because Paddy was all like, me? You want me? You could tell, you want me? They didn't have a road for him to go in there. He had to jump. And so he wasn't like on standby, like, hey, they're about to let you in. Hey, they're about to go. They're about to say your name. So it was a lot of, I saw impromptu things that were happening, but they did love it.
Oh yeah, it worked out great. And like, honestly, shout out to Joe Rogan on that one. But you could tell that it was kind of an impromptu thing. It was like really improvised. Even starting with Ilia's call out, how Paddy kind of went in there. But too, you know, they were putting all the cameras on Paddy after that. Like, it seemed like they were angling it towards Paddy, and Joe kind of saw like, okay, I see all the cameras on Paddy. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it was also planting the seed in Joe's mind. That's why when he heard Ilia maybe call for Paddy, he was like, all right, yeah, like, let's get Paddy in here, because they're putting the cameras on Paddy. It almost kind of like coerced Joe into pushing it.
there will be a Habib Connor type of feel if they set that up. I don't think it will ever match what happened with Habib and Connor.
So
But there will
because you say that, let me ask you a question. What do you think's bigger? And maybe because you said that, I already know your answer. But what do you think's bigger, Ilia versus Islam or Ilia versus Paddy? Because I've been wondering this myself. That's a tough question to answer.
the Islam's bigger.
You think Islam's bigger just because the magnitude of the titles and shit?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Islam's already a legend.
Pound for pound one versus pound for pound two.
Yeah.
Both owned the spot. It's for everything, right? The pound
Yeah.
for pound number one spot, the championship in whatever division they're fighting in.
Yeah. And Islam is already a legend. He is
Right.
literally a walking legend right now. So Patty's still trying to get there. Ilya's creating his legacy.
Right.
So there are levels to it. There are levels to it. Would it be fun for the Patty? It'd be a lot of fun though.
Yeah, because the thing saving Patty's argument is that part where Patty will sell it better than Islam will. See, Islam's resume will sell the fight, but Patty's mouth and Ilya's mouth are just gonna fucking print money left and right. Like that's world tour status.
Yeah, and I think here's the other. I guess as like the ultimate UFC fan or admiring the sport, if you see Islam tap Ilya, people are gonna be like, Islam's the greatest of all time.
Mm.
That's what's on the line.
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, so here's another one for you because it's another big question, and then I got a question for you from the chat. Who's the bigger goat as we speak today? Because I saw it, even Ariel addressed this topic, and Ariel didn't really give an answer. He just kind of said Ilya's trajecting this way. But who's the bigger goat, Ilya with the resume he has sitting here today, or a Khabib? Keep in mind, I'll kind of give it a simple breakdown. You got one guy who's got belts in two divisions, right? And then I think Khabib pretty much only has like one title defense over Ilya. But you got to keep in mind, like, Khabib won the title off of fucking, like, Ally Quinta and shit like that. So there's just some shit there, you know? But you also don't buy the Ilya hype, so then it's hard for you to now say Ilya is the fucking bigger goat than Khabib, you know?
I think that Connor really put Habib on the mantle, right? He put him on that Mount Rushmore almost. I'd have to say Habib. I think that Ilya still has a lot more to prove.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're four or five fights into this, and he's doing title defenses, and he's moving up to 170 to fight Islam, and he defeats him. I mean, he'll be undeniable at that point. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's there yet, though. I don't think he's there. He's like scratching the surface.
Yeah. But then it's like, how can you say he has more to prove? A belt in two divisions? Name. I mean, I think I saw there's like only 10 people who have ever owned that.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's, I guess if he retired today, would people 10 years from now saying Ilya was the GOAT? I don't think they would.
But would they say? Because I don't think Khabib's the goat, right? You got GSP's the goat. You got
I-
other guys.
Yeah,
But I guess the question is Ilya better than a Khabib? Honestly, I don't even know if I have an answer. I'm trying to like find my answer while I'm asking for your answer.
I don't think we have enough like data almost. Like I still think the story is still being written. You know, it's like trying to figure out an outcome when the story's still written, and so I don't have enough.
I hear you. Like there could be a fall from grace from Ilya, where like Khabib, retired with that undefeated record.
Yeah,
So I do get what you were saying. I do get what you're saying. But yeah, it
GS
looks like Khabib had 3 title defenses, and then he won it off of like Ally Quinta, which was a guy who should have never even fought for the title in that situation.
Mm.
So 3 title defenses. You got McGregor, you got Poirier, you got Gaethje. That's really Khabib's legacy right there. McGregor, Poirier, Gaethje. And then
Yeah.
you got Topuria's legacy, which is Volkanovski, Holloway, Oliveira.
I mean,
And Oliveira knocked out Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier.
and here's my thing. Like, okay, when you start thinking about some of like these real go conversations,
Mm-hmm.
GSP, I think he had 8 title defenses. There's a lot of names on there, a lot of heavy big names on there.
Mm-hmm.
Moves up, he beats Bisbing 2. I think Anderson Silva had 12 or 13 like title defenses or something
Hmm.
like that. When you start getting in the numbers of like 10 title defenses, you become in that conversation. What's I forgot what John Jones. I need to see more in his resume. Is he really good? He's fucking really good.
Hmm.
Really good.
I'm gonna say after kind of like careful consideration, I'm gonna say I'll give Ilya that. I'll put him above Khabib, honestly. I will. And that's a tough one. That's a tough one, but I think the belt and then for me as a hardcore, I'm kind of looking back at things and I'm thinking, Khabib beat drunk ass Connor. That wasn't prime locked in Connor. And I can't say the same about Ilya beating like a drunk ass Volk, a drunk ass Max, a drunk ass
Here,
Charles.
here's my thing with Habib, I guess. Habib was really good at taking you down, keeping you there, applying pressure, and submitting you. He
He
would,
was.
I see him doing that to Ilya.
Mm.
I think if they put him in the ring today, I think that would be the
That
out.
would be crazy. What a crazy
That would
fight
be
that would
crazy.
be. Yeah, what
That
a
would be.
crazy fight that would be.
I wonder how old Habib is right now, but that's why you have Islam, who's baby Habib, but bigger.
Mm-hmm.
He fights different though.
He's got more tools actually than Khabib.
He
He's got
does
the
have more.
striking.
He's a,
And that's
he's
what
a
I'm factoring in too, actually, when I make this decision. I'm thinking, because you say Khabib is elite on the ground. No, there's no questioning that. But I think too, it's like Ilya's got that more well-roundedness. He does have the feet, he does have the grappling. So I'm just leaning towards Ilya, but I don't think, that's a very tough one. We should do a poll. Should we do a poll right now?
yeah.
Let's do a poll.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a lot of crazy things would happen, if um
Um, Now let me ask you. Wait,
the
was there
homie,
something else that on this topic?
the homie just texted me, goes, "Hey, just so you know, me and my wife have other relationships," and I'm like, "All right, good to know."
Well, he wants to fucking swing.
I don't know what's going on with them, but I'm like, hey, to each his own, homie.
Bro, I actually had a weird encounter at the grocery store recently. I mean, I'll tell you about it, but let me just this topic, right? What else do we got on this topic? So, um,
I would the last thing I would say is if they when they set up the Ilya versus JDM, if Ilya dominates JDM, right? Let's say he taps him, everybody's like, and Ilya says he's gonna move up to 170.
mhm.
It will be insane.
It'll be insane.
It will be one of the most insane times to be alive in the UFC. You see two guys do it and win, and then go face each other to become the legend. It's you could have no fights all year. Just book that fight and I'll watch. I'm all in.
Yeah.
$1,000 to watch.
Okay, for sure. All right, I think honestly that's pretty much that full on topic. We went over who he should fight next, right? We went over Dana White and all of his stuff.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, because you just
I
said
will say
about,
this. You know
okay.
what's funny about the Dana White thing?
Huh.
When he was in the press conference and the helicopters were over him, and he's all like, "What the fuck is going on in here,
Yeah.
dude? Like, where do you guys have it?"
I guess they're gonna build something else now. That always happens, to be honest with
That
you.
was
Whenever I
so
watch that shit,
that was so funny live, bro.
I guess they're gonna build something now. It's literally in a tent outside the fucking building. I think.
Yeah, it was funny, bro. It was
Yeah.
funny. They put him in a little off tent and shit. He's like, "Man, you're the fucking billionaire over here."
But it's funny too, because when we were at the Bellator press conference, that was the same shit. They were like wheeling out shit. You couldn't hear any of the fighters' answers. So that's like post-show vibes, I guess. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this funny story, a little bit off topic, but I gotta tell it to you. I was in
Okay.
the grocery store recently, and I was basically just going in there to get a pre-workout before I go to the gym. And then I was wearing like my Cal State Long Beach sweater.
Okay.
And some guy and his wife stops me and he's like, "Hey, like my wife, like, she's from Long Beach and shit like that. Like, or she went to school there too. Like, so you guys are both alumni." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, for sure. Like, nice to meet you, like, whatever the case." He's chopping it up with me, like talking my ear off, asking like what I majored in. So of course I gotta be polite. I'm like, "Yeah, what'd you major in?" Like, "Okay, yeah, for sure." I was talking to his wife a little bit. And then
Right.
he's talking to me and stuff. And then like, long story short, he like kind of asks me for like my Instagram and shit like that. And then so I get his Instagram, and then like the wife takes the phone and like follows their like husband and wife account, and I was like, okay, like for sure, like I was trying to get out of there because I couldn't really tell. I don't know. He was saying that like what they do now with their career, and then he's saying like, yeah, you should follow me though. Like you should link with me on Instagram. And I was worried that he's gonna start trying to get to sell me something. So I was like, yeah, all
Right.
right. And I'm like, all right, bro, have a good one. Like I'll see you later.
Yeah, yeah.
But then afterwards, I'm like looking at their Instagram and stuff, and I don't know, I'm just wondering like in the back of my mind, I'm wondering like, was this one of those situations where it's like some cuckery going on, like
Right. Some
because
Diddy shit.
yeah, because I was looking at him and I was I don't want to like insult the guy, but I was like, dude, this looks like one of these things where like the wife might need like another man to like come along, and like you know what I'm saying? You know how they do that? There's certain relationships that do that shit.
Yeah.
I was just kind of shook that he picked me. Like he's like, hey, like how you doing? Like, oh, you went to
Right.
Long Beach and shit. At first I was thinking like it was friendly, but it wasn't making sense to me, especially because I'm like, they're a little bit older than me. Like they got kids and shit.
Your spidey senses were on.
And he's asking me to like hang out.
Yeah, yeah. Your spider senses were on.
Yeah, so I don't know. Part of me was thinking, I'm like, should I just like follow his fucking wife? But I'm like, obviously I got a girlfriend and shit, so that's not the situation. But I was thinking like that should have been like he should have just set it up like that or something like that. You know what I mean? If that's what he was going for. But yeah, he made me follow their relationship, their marriage account.
Interesting.
I was like, odd, but I don't want to follow them back. I don't really know them, so they're just following me. Or sorry, they're following me. Or sorry, was it? I'm following them because
Are you following their personal or the business?
their marriage account.
No, but is your personal following their marriage account or is your business
Oh,
one?
personal. But then they requested to follow me, and I didn't accept. I'm just like leaving it alone. But yeah, I was shook at that. I just had to tell you because you brought that up about your homie texting you. The other fight with Kaikara and Pantoja, I just wanted to put it out there. I think what should happen too is Kaikara should run it with Manel Kape because they got some beef.
It's not a bad one.
Yeah.
It's not a bad one.
And I'm thinking, honestly, I was looking at it. I think Royval should run it with like Khabib's cousin, Tagir, if you're familiar with Tagir.
Kind of, I can picture him. See, I was thinking more Royval should fight Kai Kara.
Okay. Kaikara.
And Manel should fight Joshua Van. That's what I was thinking, but they're not going to set that up. So.
Right. Okay, fair enough. Let me look at a few more topics here because we got off, so like I lost the flow. Let me see.
What happened to John Jones in Tom Aspinall's tribute and shit?
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's what I wanted to talk about. You're right. I don't know what's going on here. But what can I say? I told you what they should have done. They didn't do it.
No.
So what can I say?
It's almost like it's old news now.
I just think it wasn't much to just be like, hey, you know what? Like, what up? This is the undisputed heavyweight champion in the building. We're gonna get his fight going soon. Stay tuned.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. We got a couple fan questions. We'll get into.
No John Jones tribute, like
none of that either. On the International Fight Week card, I think it was distasteful.
Oh, here's the other question. Best fight card of the year?
Honestly, I loved the card. I love
the card too.
I'm kind of getting distracted because the thing for me now I'm finding is when I stream it, I have to entertain, right? So I think sometimes if it's boring, I might almost make it seem exciting because I'm streaming.
Yeah.
But so sometimes I'll look back and I'll be like, I was excited for that fight, and then I'll see other people say it was a shit fight. Like last weekend's card, people were saying that, and I thought it was kind of exciting, but maybe it's just because I was streaming. I did like UFC 317 though.
But you don't know if it's the best. I was
saying that about Baku. People were saying Baku was a little bit of a shit card.
Yeah. No, I get that.
But when I streamed it, I enjoyed it.
Got you.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if my interpretation's off, but I liked UFC 317. I thought it was a fire card from basically start to finish.
Yeah, no, it did have like my whole thing was like, I guess I think Brandon Schaub even said it, two flyweight fights on there diminishes it a little bit. The Marab versus Dvalishvili, that was a good card. The Mohammed versus Jack Della Maddalena was a good card too.
Mm-hmm. That was a good card.
I had to go back and say, was it the best fight card of the year though? I can't. And then I mean, and because they're saying the views for that knockout was the best knockout of all time too, ahead of Max Holloway. Is like, I don't know. I think people are caught in the moment. It was good. I mean, but
I
Max,
wouldn't put it above like Max Holloway's Justin Gaethje knockout if I'm being dead honest.
right?
I wouldn't.
Yeah. So that was interesting to me to see some of those other talks. And I
Even
didn't
Ilia's knockout over Max is right up there. I mean, you can't say that it like his knockout over Charles is way better than how he knocked out Max. I mean, I think Ilia's knockouts are impressive, but they are honestly like sometimes with like Max's, just had some grit to it. I guess you could say Ilia's knockouts are very like perfectly timed.
I think we're a victim of the moment, which is there's nothing wrong with that. Cause even too, they were saying the Brandon Royval versus
Best fight of the year.
yeah, and I was like, it was good. I don't know if the best fight of the year.
Hmm. Let me
Like,
ask you some fan questions.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, because there's a name, and shout out to Jose Miguel Delgado. We got him on the pod. We got the interview
Oh,
dropping.
nice.
Yeah. So what do you think about Jose Miguel Delgado? You like him?
Yeah, no, I mean, first
Big
he's
knockout over Hyder Emil. I don't know if you're familiar with
yeah.
Hyder's work, but Hyder is no slouch.
Oh no, 100%. Like
Yeah.
that was a great win.
This is one of those fights. This had your name written all over it. You know what I mean? Two relatively unknowns.
True, true. And I think, at that time I was like, I was telling you I had like a little watch party.
That's right.
I was like playing host.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we had the fight in the back. I'm cooking, fucking people are doing this, I'm doing that. And so that was like right before the prelims. And so I was trying to tell everybody, like, hey, I really want to watch the Gregory fight. So it kind of slipped underneath. And then I saw that you got the knockout because one of the guys was going crazy. It's like, oh shit. I was like, no way. Then I saw the replay first round. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was only 26 seconds. So if you weren't tapped in that moment, it just came and
Right.
went. Yeah.
And Emil was, I think he was favored, right?
He was favored, yeah. And
Yeah.
so what I noticed from this card is they stacked it with a lot of their prospects they're high on. So I didn't know anything about Jose before this. Soda Pop in the stream. That's a big friend of the program. So shout out to Soda Pop. He's the one who asked you that question.
No, homie.
But in the stream, he was telling me about Delgado because I was kind of saying like Emil's kind of like this guy right now who's
Yeah.
rising. And
Yeah.
he's like, nah, you got to look out for Delgado. So I think what happened with the UFC here is some of the rising prospects they put on, I think the UFC really believes in them. So
Yeah.
I'm taking that as an extra like bump on Jose Miguel Delgado's resume here. Like the fact that UFC threw him on this card and he got that big knockout, I'm expecting big things from him. Because think about it, Jacoby Smith too, biggest favorite in history. You know what I mean? They put him on the card, so and undefeated as well. So
And we had talked about him too. Jacoby Smith against Nico Price was a veteran. He had Nico Price on his heels the whole fight.
bro,
He had him.
from the get go, from the first 2 seconds.
And Nico was like a veteran, bro. He weathered the storm in the first round, but then Jacoby Smith was still on him in the second round. I honestly thought it was like, oh, Nico's like taking his punch. He may come back. But Jacoby did not let his foot off the gas, and he kept attacking. He got him. Also, shout out to Terrence McKinney too. Great submission.
So shout out to McKinney too. And
Gregory Rodriguez, bro, fucking great win. And I was gonna say this too about
rest up to Slava. I don't want to let that heal up Slava. Shout out to Slava.
I was gonna say that when they said that extra hammer fist, bro, he's coming off a loss. We've seen fights where you're like, bro, why didn't you jump on him and you let him back in and you lost? He couldn't afford it. He had to go in for it. And
I don't hold it against him, man.
I don't hold it against him either. I don't hold it against him either. Especially when you're coming off a loss. If you're coming off a loss, it means everything to get that win.
Yeah, I think they're holding it against him because of how long Jack was out. It
was nanoseconds, bro. Like we're looking at it like, oh, slow motion. Like that's a 1 second of an instinct reaction.
Right. No, I think what I'm saying though is like, if Jack wasn't out for so long, right? I think people will be saying a different tune. But it's almost like they got scared because Jack was out for like a few minutes, and so they're like, oh man, you shouldn't have done that. But let's say Jack woke up because what's the difference between that and like an Ilia? Maybe half a second. Is that the difference? Ilia waited half a second less than fucking Gregory, or
Right.
maybe a full second, But the follow-ups, the difference to me too is like Charles woke up quickly. So I think if Jack would have woke up instantly, I don't think people are gonna be like, oh my god. But because of the damage that it caused, Jack, I think people in hindsight are like, yo, take it easy.
Yeah. No, I mean, he got the win. It was he was crazy. He's back in everybody's mouth.
And Jack is not an easy win.
Oh, he
He beat Pfeiffer.
He's a veteran, bro. Like he's a veteran. Gregory Rodriguez, I think he learned a lot from that Jared Cannonier fight, and
Jack Hermansson even beat Chris Curtis.
no, he's a fucking beast, right? But RoboCop's a beast. You know what I mean? I think he lost some steam in the Jared Cannonier fight, but fight of the year. Now I'm looking back on it. That Phil Rowe versus Angie Lusa, that was fight of the year to me.
Oh, that was great, and that's one of the knockouts of the year actually that I have. I have it as one of the knockouts of the year.
And he was coming back. He was losing.
The magnitude of it, very special. I have it right up there actually. I'm trying to get Phil on. Phil Rowe, you've been canceling on me, Brody, and it's all love. I ain't even pissed at you. But Brody, you owe me, and I'm still trying to get you on because we have serious stuff to talk about. But like, you know, Phil Rowe, I got that because I was working on the questions. And I got that as like my number 2 knockout of the year. Randy Brown, and I got that one as like 1 and 2. Because some knockouts, I think knockout of the year also has like some magnitude to it. But with that being said, I'll give Ilia, like, I'll put Ilia up there as one of the knockouts of the year.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like he's up there. Like I can't put those two up there and not throw Ilia. So Ilia's up there like top 3 right now.
Well, because that's up there because of the magnitude of what's going on. It's a belt on the line. You're moving up in weight. You're becoming a legend. There's so many tiers to that conversation of what was on the line.
Mm-hmm.
These other fights that it's like, you know, trying to get in the rankings, the magnitude's different.
Yeah, for sure. There was a couple other questions that these boys are asking, so let's just get to it. If Islam does beat JDM, I hope they do Ilia versus Islam at 165 for both 55 and the 70 belt. The UFC would never do the fucking. That would be insane, right? If they did. That
because
shit.
And Ilia already said he'd move up, so there's no need to do that. He moves up.
Yeah, but
he's chasing goat shit.
Yeah, and then let's see, because I think Islam said like he's down to go back down to 55, if I'm not mistaken. But who knows? It's easier if Ilia just goes up and they just don't have to cut weight.
And I think too, when you start getting in that conversation, that all comes down to like discipline, honestly, you know, because once you're used to only having to cut X weight instead of even more X weight, you're kind of like, I don't know if I really want to put my body all the way through all of that again, you know?
Yeah, because your tolerance is like, you're so far removed from when you did it the last time.
Yeah, exactly. Because it takes a lot of discipline, right? That's why my hats go off to every single fucking fighter that does that. That's some next level shit of discipline, self-control. So the wear and tear they have to put to their bodies just to achieve that is pretty crazy. So I can't see him making that commitment, you know, to even go down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but I can't see.
They also, because I asked you that question, what the bigger fight is, they said Ilia versus Islam is the biggest fight they can make. I got a feeling Dana was stalling out all the contenders at the press conference because that's the fight he wants. That's actually a good theory because, like I said, Dana was confusing. Dana shut down all 3 contenders. It's like, dude, who the fuck do you want then? Yeah. Like, if you don't want Patty, if you don't want Armon, if Justin's wacky, like, who the hell do you want? Like, those are the 3 contenders. Like, you got plenty of options, and you just say no to all of them on that night.
Honestly, he could do something crazy, like
just waiting for the result of Islam versus JDM in a few months.
Not only that, like they haven't scheduled the Islam JDM, right?
They haven't, but it's supposed to happen before the end of this year, right?
But let's say they do at the end of the year, right? Ilia only fought 1 round, a half a round. What if they fucking double fucking belts in that fight? Islam versus JDM, Ilia versus Patty Pimblett co-main event, like some crazy shit.
Oh, dude, I would love that. The problem is like there's such big names, you can't put them on. And this is something that sucks. This is something that sucks about the UFC and the business side of things. Once you get to a certain, because you know I'm all about the business, right? But this is one of those cases where I fucking hate the business because the business won't allow for these 2 fucking big old names to be like main and co-main event. You know, like because they got to use each of their names to sell the card, like a different card.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be. I don't know.
But that would be insane. Like fuck all the rules, fuck everything. Like let's just do this for the fans.
Yeah,
I would love to see that.
Yeah. And then here, best fight card of 2025, UFC 314 was stacked. That's the Volk versus Lopez, Chandler versus Pimblett, Yair versus Pitbull, Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva, Dominic Reyes versus Nikita, Dan Ige versus Sean Whitson, Jan versus Virna.
Was that last year's fight week international?
This was UFC 314.
Oh,
Jim Miller versus Chase Hooper. The card was fucking stacked.
and who headlined that one again?
That was the Volk versus Diego Lopez.
That was a really good card, honestly. But you know what? I'll say this: the viewership for this international fight week card was insane,
Was it?
bro.
Yeah. I mean,
You know how many views I did on the stream?
I thought that like was 10K, right?
So the first stream crashed at 8,000. Then I put up a
Alright.
second stream and it fucking topped out at like 18,000.
Wow.
And I was looking at other streams too. You know MMA Holes on Twitter?
Yeah,
They got a YouTube channel. Cuz I saw how big my numbers did and so what 18 plus 8 is like what 26. So 26,000 total. My biggest stream is like 2,000 before that. So I went and looked at other people's YouTube channels and they had like their biggest stream was like in the 25,000 views and it went up to 1,000,000.
Really.
So bro,
Wow.
yeah, some no name, some the MMA Holes, their live stream for the event, 1,000,000 views.
Wow. You need to get some like who's the sidekick that Sean O'Malley has?
A producer.
No, who's that guy that didn't go to the after party with Sean O'Malley?
Oh, I forget his name, the big dude.
You need to get someone like him on your stream.
And what would his role be? Just to kind of like
Who
fuck
knows,
around?
bro? Whatever you fucking can think of, bro.
No, I was actually gonna have my homie on because he texted me about the fight, and I was like, "Hey,
That'd be
like,
fun.
I gotta do a stream, bro. Like, so I'm not gonna go over to your house, but if you want to come here and be on my
Yeah.
stream, then that's chill." But he got like a little uncomfortable. He's like, "I don't know, like how I feel about
He
that."
ain't ready for all that. He ain't ready for all that.
He
I
wasn't
gotta
ready for 26,000 people to be looking.
I
at
gotta
his
get one of the
ass.
hyenas, bro. They get too bored too quick, though.
The hyenas are good, like background kind of like,
Oh,
you know what I mean? Keep them in the back or whatever. They're just chilling, watching it. Someone clicks on the stream, but then they see a couple hyenas in the back.
what's
They'll
the-
stick
yeah,
around
what's
for a
the-
few more seconds.
Yeah, oh, they would. No, they would. Sure.
All right. So, before we move on, are there any other main card fights, especially, or I mean, Jacoby Smith, shout out to him. That was a good win. We already talked about him. But any other like notable fights if you got them up in front of you right now?
No, I think we went over all of them. Peyton Talbott was the only one we didn't bring up.
Yeah, and that was a good win. Solid win from
Oh, it was
Peyton.
a great win. That was a great.
And
That was
can
a
honestly segue
great
into the next
win.
thing we got to talk about, which was that I guess his boyfriend reacted to his win.
Okay, I'm confused with where we're at. Everything,
Bro,
with this.
I just found this shit out yesterday.
So is he officially gay?
Bro, I don't know, because like I said, I just found this shit out yesterday. I saw the post and I said, his rumored what?
Right.
Like his rumored what?
Because Frank Ocean posted something on his Instagram story after he won, right?
Right, with the crying face. So that sparks dating rumors. And I guess, so I looked into it a little bit. Frank Ocean posted something on Valentine's Day of Payton Talbott too. Like a lovey, like with like, again, it's no words, I don't think, but I think he posts like heart emojis and shit and like Peyton's face on Valentine's Day.
Why hasn't anybody asked Peyton Talbot about this yet?
They're all scared, and you know what? I gotta say something to Ariel about it because Ariel's a fucking slime ball. So, okay, so they are asking him about it. They asked him about the friendship at the media day. Now,
Okay.
when they said friendship, I took it at face value. I didn't think anything about Peyton being gay, like dead honest. And I thought, okay, they're just asking about friendship here, whatever. Now it seems that it's a pointed question when they say the word friendship, and they're being cowards. They won't ask him to his face. Get Payton Talbot on this program. I bet you, bet me any money. I'll ask him straight to his face. Are you
What's
Frank
so
Ocean's
embarrassing
boyfriend?
about it? I don't get even understand what's so embarrassing about it.
There's nothing embarrassing about it. They're making a bigger deal of it than it is. That's the problem here, though. In my opinion, that's the problem. They're making, if you're fucking gay, then you're gay, and that's your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Do what you do, dog.
But here,
Now-
but let me say. Well, let me just say this, and then you could put it out there. So they're being cowards again. They're saying, "Oh, your friendship with him." Just okay. I got so much to say. I'm like getting stuck. So fast forward after the fight, Ariel. You saw the clip, right, of Ariel talking to what's his name again?
Peyton Talbot?
I was almost trying to call him Patty. Peyton Talbot. Ariel was talking to him in the interview, and Ariel said, "Your friendship with Frank Ocean." Now, the thing about Ariel that we need to understand here, and see, this is the thing about Ariel. I give him the credit he deserves for being a consummate professional, but this is where, Ariel, you keep playing games, bro. I'm going to fucking roast your ass every fucking week, bro. Every week. Ariel is one of the best in the game. He knows everything. He does not ask a question without knowing the answer pretty much. And so believe me when I tell you, Ariel has heard things about this Frank Ocean thing, about this Payton Talbott thing. At the very least, he's seen the rumors online. He's seen people saying that Payton is Frank Ocean's boyfriend. He's seen that. Now, Ariel has more sources than that. Ariel can make calls to people I don't even know exist and find out information that we can't know. That's why Ariel always breaks news on his show, because he has these fucking crazy connections in all these media outlets. And then he has connections with people who have spies themselves. That's how like good Ariel is. That's all the credit in the world, right? But Ariel, you're a coward because you didn't ask him straight up, are you dating Frank Ocean? And then you go ahead and you clip it off, friendship with Frank Ocean. You know what I mean? Again, Ariel, you're adding to the confusion. Be a real person and ask him the fucking question. You're supposed to be the best journalist in the game, and you don't even have the courage to say it like this. Everybody's been starting rumors online. I've seen the rumors. I'm just going to ask you straight up. You know what I mean? People say that you're rumored to be Frank Ocean's boyfriend. They posted a story about that. Do you have anything you want to say to that? Do you want to respond to that? You don't even have to ask him, are you his boyfriend? But put it out there that people are wondering about this and ask if he has a response to it. That gives a real answer. That gives, oh, Payton doesn't want to address this. Oh, Payton does want to address this. He has nothing to hide. Oh, Payton addresses it and he admits that it's true. So, but Ariel didn't give him that platform because Ariel called him his friend, and Ariel didn't open it up the way he should have because Ariel's being slimy. And then you go ahead and you clip that shit off, bro. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, if I had somebody on my podcast and I asked them that fucking question, you know, I don't know if I'd be clipping that off.
No, it's interesting because I've seen clips for the past few months basically saying there's something going on between him and Frank Ocean, but I never dove deep into it because I honestly don't care. Whatever. I didn't take it even at face value. It's like, whatever. But it does become an interesting story because I don't know if has there ever been a gay man in the UFC. There
has been, but he got kicked out of the UFC. I forget his name.
Got kicked out
for the gambling issue with James Krause. He was one of James Krause's fighters.
Interesting.
Justin Molina or something like that, and Ariel's had him on his podcast too.
It is
Jose Molina.
A weird space to be in because it's an alpha male industry, and even pro football players have had a hard time coming out because of how you're being treated in the locker room with your peers. So yeah, it's an interesting topic. I've never really put any weight on it until more recently, and even us talking about it, like I said, to each his own, you know what I mean?
I have no issues with it. I mean, I did find it a little bit shocking. I'm not going to lie to you.
I find it more shocking that people haven't tried to ask him more directly.
And that's the thing that pisses me off. Sorry to cut you off, but I just want to clarify. See, the thing with Ariel, if you're not going to ask him directly like that, then don't ask him the question. That's my thing. Don't ask him if you're not going to ask him directly, because I don't think your heart's coming at it from a right place. In fact, I know it. I don't think anybody's heart could be coming at it from a right place, being like, oh, tell me about your friendship with Frank Ocean. You know what I mean? Like, I know what you're doing, bro. We all know what you're doing. It just doesn't seem like you're coming from a genuine place. For me, a genuine place is saying, hey, man, there's this rumor that's going on. Do you just want to address it? Do you not? I just want to give you an opportunity to address if you would like to. But Ariel, I just don't like it. And then if you're going to be like that, then don't ask the question, but go on.
Yeah. And maybe there is nothing to it. Maybe Frank Ocean's, I have no idea. I'm dumbfounded on the fact that Frank Ocean would even know who Payton Talbott is a question I'd like to even ask. Who would you rather have on your show, Frank Ocean or Payton Talbott?
Yeah. Oh, you're asking me? Well, I guess because it's an MMA show, you know what I mean? But yeah, I guess like a Frank Ocean.
I go Frank Ocean.
But to be honest, I don't know anything about the guy. I never listened to his music. Payton Talbott is a bigger star in my mind than Frank Ocean.
But Frank Ocean is
he's a global superstar, right?
He is in the music industry, in the music industry.
So that's also mainstream.
And he's an R&B singer, so it is interesting, very mainstream. It is interesting that he would even what R&B singer do we know ever talks about the UFC?
Yeah, did you see the clip from
And
Ariel though?
and even a guy that I didn't, and even not only that, a guy that's not even ranked.
Yeah. So
That's like how would they even meet each other?
I got the answer for you because Ariel asked him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I guess, and it's kind of just an odd one, but I guess Frank Ocean just slid in Peyton's DMs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then so they just started kicking it. And I wish you did watch the clip that Ariel posted because if I'm being honest, right, although I think obviously Peyton's beating around the bush, I feel like Peyton was talking about Frank Ocean as if he was his boyfriend or somebody who he loves on an emotional
Really?
level. Yeah, because he's really smart and he's really like intuitive, and you know our careers they're very similar in a lot of ways, and we kind of like find parallels between our careers and use it to like motivate each other. So like, you know, for him, he has to perform on a big stage in front of thousands of people. I have to do that in my own aspect. So like we kind of learn different ways that we cope about it, and then we kind of like talk about it and learn like new ways of how to like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Here's a question I have for you then,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna probably get roasted in the comments. I guess I'm gay now too. Um, so if you want to bring the heat, I don't give a fuck.
I can't wait for this.
No, but serious question.
Yeah.
The MMA world ready for a guy like a Peyton Talbott to be gay?
I think it is, but you
You think
gotta
so?
own it. You gotta own it. If you're
I
gonna be
don't.
embarrassed about it, I think you're gonna get some flack. But I think if you own it and you say, you know, whatever, I think enough people will come out and be like, listen, like, don't be. I think this Peyton will get shit talked on him, but I think there's enough fans at this point to say, just like you're saying, it doesn't fucking matter. Because when I posted this stuff about his relationship, I'm getting a lot of flack from it too. This isn't the view for men. I don't give a fuck. We don't care. It doesn't mean anything. So
Well, I would say this, we're in a different tone in our society right now when it comes to people that are gay, transgender, people of color. Um, so the conversation has shifted kind of back where people aren't so afraid. I guess afraid's a bad word to it. People really just don't care if they talk down about people that are gay.
mhm.
Um, my opinion on it, to each his own. Like I honestly don't care what you do behind closed doors as long as you're not hurting people, you're not hurting kids. But everybody does have a different view on it, like religious people and shit. The MMA world's gotten weird with Trump.
Mhm.
Like it's allowed people the permission to start talking down and really bad about people. So I don't think I don't think they're ready for. I think they would almost outcast them.
Mm. Interesting. Interesting.
I honestly do. I think maybe not the media people. I think the casual fans that are huge Trump supporters would and religious people would that this sport does not have a place for people that are gay.
So you almost think that this could be like how do you put this? Like being gay in MMA is almost the equivalent to like snitching in like rap.
I wouldn't go that far. I would say more that
Like you get blackballed.
yeah, yeah. I don't think Dana would ever do that because I think he would still need to keep winning.
Mm.
But if he got to the point where he was in the rankings and he was more mainstream, I don't. Any
So let me
law,
give you an answer. So this guy, right, who got cut from the UFC because of the James Krause's kind of gambling situation, he's pretty much the only fighter who's ever been openly gay.
Mm-hmm.
He's bisexual, open about it, completely open about it. Doesn't hide it one bit. And obviously the UFC doesn't want to re-sign him because of the issue with the gambling, and I think they just can't re-sign him. But that is a guy who has kind of been thrown to the wayside. But the difference to me is like Peyton's a fucking elite fighter. So he can be as gay as he wants. You know what I mean? Like if he knocks out the best guy in the world, then I mean shout out to the guy who just got knocked out by him.
But here's the next question: will fighters that are super religious, super against gay people, say I don't want to fight him?
Like a Muslim, right? I think Christians would do it.
Yeah. There's another Bryce Mitchell.
Interesting.
I don't hear what Bryce Mitchell's opinion is on the matter.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
And a lot of the Muslim guys, I'd love to hear what their opinion is on the matter because they're in my eyes, they're super against it.
Yeah. So I'll give you something.
I guess I'm a liberal. I don't know. I'm not a
Yeah.
Democrat or Republican. I'm not religious or not. So I don't know what the fuck. I'm not. I'm for whatever people do good in your life. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I'll get because I know you're not really religious, so I'll give you perspective from the religious side. I think there is a demographic in religion for sure who doesn't like gay people,
to the
right?
core.
Because I don't know about to the core. I don't know. I don't know. I never asked them if you, so I won't assume. But I'll say they don't like it because it's like this thing where God says you can't go to heaven, right? If you're gay, and so I know that there's some people who believe that, and then so therefore it kind of changes their opinion towards it. But I know there's a lot of people, you know, who basically your choice is your choice, and like I'm gonna live my life, and you're free to live your life. And you know, people have family members who are gay, so like I think it's not as easy as it maybe once was to like bash people because you could turn around, you know what I mean, and your sister's gay, or you know what I mean, your brother's gay or something like that. So the same people who bash, right? Maybe they can't bash as much because turns out somebody in your family is gay who you have to love, and so now it kind of evens things out.
Yeah.
So
I just think the tone of where we're at in today's society is shifted. And I think someone told me this the other day. It's easier, he told me, because you live in California and I guess we're a liberal state. I didn't
go
even
to
know
the
what
deep south or some shit like that.
exactly. I didn't even know what the fuck liberal meant, bro. That's how fucking like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Liberal, I think, is opposite of Republican.
But basically, it's like, we're a little bit more free going. You got gay people, you got like, we don't.
Progressive is the word.
Okay, so we're not taking shit so serious, which I don't actually. I don't. Um, but if you go to certain parts of the country, oh no, 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 no. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's a person of color, a person gay, or person transgender. Like that shit, not religious. That shit is looked like completely frowned upon. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You're outside the circle, bro. You ain't even looking in this circle. Like you're the weirdo. You know,
Okay.
so I don't come from a society like that. I don't come from a circle like that, so I don't have the same perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
It's
shit.
an
That
interesting story
that
though.
brings up a. I wasn't thinking anything about him getting blackballed and shit like that. So that brings up a super interesting kind of perspective there for sure.
I mean, I like I said, we don't have enough evidence of fighters getting to a next level that were gay.
Now, do you know like some of the? Well, there is none. There is none except for like I said, Jose Molina, who's basically blackballed. But just to give a timeline of Payton's kind of like gay activities, I guess you could say, or like gay rumors. Um, so honestly, a video surfaced back in the day of him inhaling a vape through his ass. You ever seen this?
Oh,
No, there is a video on the internet. It already circulated throughout all the MMA accounts. Payton Talbott, fucking cheeks up in the air, bro. Shoulders on the floor.
damn.
Shoulders on the floor, cheeks up in the air.
What
Vape.
does that get you higher?
I think he was just showing off a talent or something like that he could do it because he has a bunch of homies in there. Like, yo, he must have shown his homies, and they're like, do it again for like $100.
I know Diddy did Molly through the ass, so I don't know what's happening. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
don't know.
So anyway, fucking somehow Payton Talbot can gulp air through his ass.
Interesting.
And so he took a vape hit through his ass. Now that's one thing. Then, you know, he obviously paints his nails and that's a little bit like zesty in its own right.
Right.
So does Izzy though, so that kind of is what it is. But the other thing that kind of happened is like when he went on that Frank Ocean, basically he appeared in Frank Ocean's music video. This was like the first existence of his relationship with Frank Ocean. Appeared in his music video with again his cheeks out. He was like he dived in the pool butt naked.
Okay.
And so basically that was him in the video diving in the pool butt naked from behind. So the camera captured his cheeks diving in the pool. So people were like, dude, again, like kind of funky, like why? And I didn't know Frank Ocean was gay. I still don't really know if he's gay or bi, but I'm assuming Frank Ocean is gay if they're saying that's Payton's boyfriend. So anyway, I didn't know that back then though.
Towards yes.
Okay, same here. But when I saw that video and they said like Payton was naked in Frank Ocean's music video, I thought it was a straight guy's music video. But being naked in a gay man's music video is definitely like a little bit. I wouldn't fucking do that.
Right.
I would never be naked around another gay man.
Right.
And I don't have any ill will towards them. But boundaries are boundaries, right? If you're turned on to me, then I'm not going to show you my shit.
Right.
So anyway, like I said, I didn't know that was why that video was so viral, right? I didn't realize that at the time.
I didn't know that either.
So then there's that. Then we fast forward. I just told you about Valentine's Day. Apparently, Ocean posted a cryptic story post with Payton in it on Valentine's Day. Timing kind of odd. Then Payton in his opponent's junk, right? That's the screenshot he grabs after the fight and posted on a story with the crying face. So like he's completely sexualizing Payton. The only time he didn't is when he posted him on Valentine's Day, but that has to do with love.
Right.
So everything that he posts about Payton is like sexualized or in a romantic manner.
Right.
So that's why I think it's like sparks dating rumors because he's gay and he's in another man and alleged straight man is gay an alleged straight man is naked in a gay man's music video.
Yeah, I think that it'd be different. Like, hey, congratulations, champ. You know, posting shit like that.
If you're his homie.
Yeah. So like you said, everything's more sexualized. Like, has a different tone to it. So yeah, these
Yeah. Now you don't even want to go down the fucking route of who's the top dog, who's the bottom dog.
No.
You don't even want to fucking figure that out. But
I'm hard pass. I'm a hard pass on all that.
But my thing is, Payton's a UFC fighter, Brody. That's where I come into play. Ain't no way a UFC fighter can't be doing that.
I don't even.
You better be fucking the stud, the male stud.
I'm good. I'm gonna start talking about Holly Holm and.
All right, let me see a couple things. By the way, do you know what fish tank is, bro?
It sounds familiar for some reason.
It's supposed to be this. I have no clue. They were fucking commenting it on stream, and it's supposed to be this dirty ass site. But they say like, they talk shit, and they're like, this person watches Fish Tank, and they're commenting saying, they said, I think Talbot just a Discord kid. He not actually gay, but he don't care what people think about him. Okay. Also, Talbot loves Fish Tank. He's my generation. So what the fuck's Fish Tank?
Maybe it's like a gay app or something.
I gotta look into it. I forgot about it, but yeah, they kept commenting.
Maybe you don't want to.
Andrew Net, yeah, they kept telling me not to Google it.
Don't Google.
And now you're telling me not to Google it. I feel like you know what it is.
I'm just if I'm hearing this, I'm gonna be like, nah, I don't need to know.
Okay. Andrew
Alexa,
let's
see. Hold on, Alexa. This is Alexa.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Alexa, what is Fish Tank?
According to Wikipedia, an aquarium.
Shout out to Soda Pop. We talk about the best stuff on this one. You already know. What did
Alexa
Alexa say?
Alexa off. She's 0 for 7, bro.
Damn, fucking Alexa.
She
only got someone's age right one time.
Right. Okay. She's 1 for 8.
Yeah. But hey, Soda Pop says, I actually understand if fighters wouldn't want to grapple with him. Huh.
I mean, there's a lot of things that go into this.
It would definitely cross your mind if you're like on some like imagine if Felipe Lima knew these things we're talking about right now about Payton, and then Payton was face down in his junk in the fight.
Right.
Payton can't catch a break though. Payton was face down in his junk.
Or like, the homie's hard and shit, and he's like on top of you, like fucking trying to take you down.
Yeah. Brutal, right?
Oh.
They're gonna be peeping Payton's midline just to make sure keep him in check during the fight. Hey, that's gonna be Payton's new secret weapon though. Oh. They're gonna lose focus and then Payton's gonna take over. Shout out to Payton though. I really like that performance, and I'll put it again. No shade on you, Payton. If you're gay, bro, I don't care at all. If you are not gay, I don't care at all. It's all good with me either way. So sorry for making content off you, but this is what I got to do. This is my job.
Oh, the comments are gonna go crazy on that.
Okay.
I already forecasted. We're both already gay, so I'm gonna call it a casual, whatever the fuck you want to do.
I can't wait to see what they say.
Go talk to my ex, see what that bitch has to say.
Okay, I got a few hot topics. We could kind of do speed run now.
Ooh, that should be a segment, speed run.
Okay, so no speed run on this one. We'll pay respect, but it doesn't need to be a long segment. Ben Askren receives a double lung transplant.
Yeah, that's.
I'm glad he did receive it. Dude, I didn't know it was fucking double though. Last week we were talking it was supposed to be a single.
Oh, he got both.
Both.
Wow. God, how lucky of him to get fucking 2, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming somebody recently passed away and he qualified to be a donor or something.
That's crazy.
Shout out to the people who donate their lungs and stuff. I've always kind of been scared to do that.
Well,
You know how on your license you could be a donor?
I'm a donor. Yeah, I'm a donor just because I'm like, well, I'm already be dead.
No, honestly, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, take my shit. What am I gonna do with it?
And some people choose to get what's the word? Cremated.
Mm-hmm. But you could still donate your organs and get cremated.
Okay.
Only reason I know is because that just happened with my mom.
Interesting. Shout out to your mom then. So she donated.
Yeah, she did.
Hell yeah. Blessings to the soul who got that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, congrats to Ben on getting that. He's still got a big recovery ahead of him. So I guess
a long road ahead of him.
The main thing is just like
That's step one.
Acceptance from his body to this other person's body part and the conjoining.
It's step one. There's a
step one for sure.
Long road.
I'm looking forward to seeing how he looks when he comes out. You know, and I'm hoping for the best, honestly. But I'm not gonna put my expectations up too high because he could be a fraction of himself kind of coming out of this.
So it's crazy, bro. It's like I've been super emotional ever since my mom passed away a few months ago. And hearing that story, I could feel the moments of like grief come up in me. Just thinking about what his family has to go through because it's a lot to take in.
Definitely.
You're dealing with life and death. You're dealing with life and death at the highest level. And that's not easy for any family. So.
Yeah, what people don't understand about that situation, and it's something I've never forgot since I've been 17, is when somebody's going through that, bro, you're everybody who's directly involved with you or the person who's kind of passing away, life stops. And that's really kind of sad, you know? But like nobody can do anything because everybody's kind of focused on taking care of or spending time with the person who's kind of like passing away. And so that's kind of what Ben's going through. Like Ben has kids, he has a wife, and nobody's able to do anything.
For
3 weeks now, 4 weeks now. It's not like you can just keep doing your thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's one of the really sad parts about it is like everything gets taken away from you. Even from the people who aren't suffering, you know. So prayers up for the Askren family, you know what I mean? But it seems like they're on the up and up now and almost through the worst of it.
Yeah.
And shout out to Jake Paul. He says he's going to cover or at least
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that. He was calling everybody else out. Like, where's everybody else at? I kind of agreed with him.
And that's my thing. Don't be like, you can't talk shit on Jake, right? And then be like, oh, somebody in the MMA community needs money for something. I know a guy, Jake Paul. It's like, bro, and then he goes ahead and obliges, like, at least moving forward, pay the guy some respect, at least somewhat embrace him as one of our own if he's helping some of our own. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, and then if you were to think on the big picture of life, that's what's really important. All this other stuff, that's just for entertainment.
Yeah, showing the type of person you are and your character, willing to help people, is the most important thing.
Because what they don't even weigh the same.
No.
Entertainment versus fucking like actually trying to help people out in life. It's two different spectrums.
Definitely. And then you're helping somebody in our community.
That's true.
That's why I'm like, you know what? You're not an outsider anymore. If we embrace you enough to the point where it's like we're calling on you and then you make an acceptance, right? You got a supporter out of me. So shout out to Jake for that. And hopefully, I think Dana probably is helping out, but just behind the scenes. I just don't think he's broadcasting it or something. Hopefully. They should have asked him that at the press conference, though.
That's a good question, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just glad he showed up.
Right, for sure. And that was a good one, right? He gave some good content. Speed run. Strickland punches a full-time cop. What a crazy fucking motherfucker.
He punched a full-time cop.
So that guy in the octagon, I don't know if you saw it, but it went viral on Sunday. I saw
that.
That guy's a full-time police officer for the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Department.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so luckily he didn't press charges, but Strickland came in there and gave him a couple right hands.
Yeah, his flip-flops coming off and shit.
Why does he storm in there looking like that? Did you write that? Did you post that? I saw somebody posted, like, why the fuck did Sean walk in there like that? Sean looks so angry, like, with his fist balled up, like, stomping, sandals on.
Yeah, the flip-flops flying off and shit. Trying to hold it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's like, Sean, relax, bro. Don't take yourself so seriously. I feel like his that was like, if you ever wondered what his dad was like, I feel like he embodied his dad there.
Maybe.
Something
I also saw the video of him wrestling an NFL lineman. That was kind of
They're saying that guy's UFC ready. He probably is.
He's just big, right? Like he was even showing like trying to like get through him, and linemen are very like disciplined in how they keep the guy in front of him, and then made him fall down. So
And
no,
then
he did a good job though.
he did. And then that guy wrestled. I looked at his Instagram. He wrestled.
Right,
in
he
high
had
school.
some he had some background.
And
Yeah.
then Sean went up against another lineman, like a one-on-one drill. It didn't go too well
Yeah,
for him though.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're going against a top athlete too, top athlete at their skill.
Definitely. Let me see here. Khamzat has arrived in the U.S. and he arrived at LAX airport. I just dropped off, you know what I mean, some family at Tom Bradley International, like last Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And what? Yesterday was Tuesday. So, bro, I just missed Khamzat by a week. I was literally in Tom Bradley International Terminal last week Tuesday.
Right.
So I fucking just missed him. But shout out to Khamzat. He's in the building.
As long as he's gonna fight that day, that's all that matters.
This is honestly one of the
getting
biggest.
in the States is the first step.
Definitely, that was the biggest holdup.
Yeah.
So we got him in America, and he's in LA, staying in LA.
Go track his ass down.
Low key, I kind of want to, bro. But we'll see.
Brother.
Okay, a couple more here. Okay, I was actually wanting to get your thoughts on this one. Pantoja should be ranked higher in P4P?
Nah. I think being a flyweight is going to push you down a little bit, even though you've earned some stripes. But you're in the P4P conversation.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he should be above or below Merab?
Probably above because he has more title defenses.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I think.
He's below him right now, though, so I do think that was a mistake. They should have at least put him above Merab.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I do agree with.
Especially coming off a finish, bro. Like, give the man some respect.
Yeah.
Another one I want to ask you. UFC PI burned down, so that's in Mexico. They be saying, that's why they can't have nice things in Mexico. Dana's saying it was a sauna, so I'm just wondering what your theory is on this.
I think it might be down the middle, like
Down the
maybe.
middle?
Yeah, something electrical could have happened. A million things could have happened.
You don't think anyone's trying to extort the PI?
I don't think so. Could it be possible? Yeah, but my gut says no.
Okay.
My gut says no.
It should be a quick little turnaround then.
The cartel's trying to make money. They ain't trying to like burn shit down.
And I don't think the UFC is. I mean, dude, if they do want to go head to head with UFC, shit, it's kind of crazy actually. And I feel like they got resources to go head to head with fucking anyone in the world.
The cartel?
Yeah.
Maybe. I remember that time when they were like, they took Chapo Guzman's son.
Mm-hmm.
The cops did.
And then they got him back though.
Oh yeah, they got him back.
Oh, they got him back.
And then the president goes on national television and says, "Listen, there's not a war on drugs right now. Everything's fine." Like he went on national television and said that the minute after they released him. That's power.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. You take for granted what we have here in the United States. I mean, this shit is different down there. It is like corruption at the highest.
Yeah. So there's a possibility then, you're saying?
I don't know, but why would they want to do that? I mean, maybe some other shit that has to do with like government and drugs and like what would be the reasoning to burn down a PI UFC thing?
Like I'm going into movie script, right? So I'll just give you an answer like movie script style. Like
Okay.
They come in, right? New building, new infrastructure in Mexico, right? And they say like you want to be here and we want we got to extort you. We got to get some money out of you if you want to be here, protection. If you don't want to be on our list and if you want to be out of our dramas that we cause around town, then we got to extort you $1,000. Call it 10,000 probably. UFC says get lost, right? They act like they don't hear them. Boom, fire sets off.
Yeah, I mean, there's a storyline there.
Yeah.
Probably more like 10 million, but there's
Right.
a story there. Yeah.
They want some bands for sure.
I wonder how many PIs they have in Mexico.
I think I'm guessing one.
It was Mexico City or what?
I'd have to look it up. Should we look it up real quick?
Because that's where they were supposed to have the fight at, right? The UFC Noche.
They were supposed to have it in Ecuador.
Ecuador's not in Mexico though. Ecuador's its own little country.
I think that's where they were going to have it though.
I bet it was somewhere else. You could look that up too, but
It says Cuidad de Mexico.
Cuidad.
Cuidad.
Yeah, Cuidad. That's where it burned down. No, that's like a little city. That's in Juarez. That's like near a border town, bro.
So that's kind of fine.
No, I wouldn't say fine, but it's like I was thinking more like Mexico City.
Okay, so it's not in the city then, where it's kind of more of the
Yeah,
cartel.
I mean, no, the Juarez, yeah, they still have the cartel there.
Oh, they do. So it could. There's still a viable option to fucking extort you.
It wouldn't matter where you went.
Okay.
You go to TJ, bro. The cartel's there.
Let me. I just am curious because you. Oh, moved from Mexico. Yeah, it says Guadalajara. Oh, sorry, I said
Guadalajara.
Ecuador. Guadalajara, yeah, Guadalajara.
Yeah, it's a pretty big. That's a pretty big city.
Okay, and so yeah, maybe they're trying to extort them. They know they're coming to town and shit like that. Who knows? Last thing, DC's truck got stolen in San Jose. I guess he's got like a new truck, dude. What I'm gathering from this is when you buy a new car, I guess some new cars are worth a lot of money or something. In a different scale, like I don't know what you would call it. Like you know how people resell shoes, and
Sure.
some shoes are of like a certain high demand, like the blue fucking like Dunks or something like that. Whatever, right? The Panda Dunks or something.
Right.
I guess there's like certain vehicles that if you buy a new year, a certain model of a truck, it's like highly sought after and highly like eligible to get stolen. And so I guess that's what happened. DC bought a new truck and it's just one of these trucks that people kind of like they be on that shit. And so they stole it out of the car park. And I don't know if you've seen any details, but long story short, DC like called for an investigation on it. He finally like was able to track his car because the it's got a built-in GPS tracker, and it was in the middle of the fucking like San Jose like river,
Oh wow.
or like the San Francisco River, and so
That's crazy.
he thinks that like it's professionals, like they jacked the car and they already like put it on a boat to like ship it off. And my mom, she was living here right for like the last few months, but she actually lives in Hawaii. So when she came here for the last few months, she also shipped her car on a boat. And so when she just went back like 2 weeks ago, I had to go take her to the dock in Long Beach to get
Ship
her
it.
to get her car shipped back. So I think that's what they did. They took the car, then they drive that shit straight to a dock, and then they send it to another state
How did they find it in the river? In the
because it's got built-in GPS, and I guess DC like located it through the app.
and then they just abandoned it.
Well, like no, not on a river. I guess maybe it's on some type of like channel in San Jose,
Right.
and so he thinks it's on a boat. So when he tracked it and it says it's in water, he's assuming it's in water traveling on
Oh,
a
they
boat.
still haven't found it.
They haven't found it.
Oh, okay. I
When
thought
he
they
tracked
found
it, it was moving in the water.
I got you now.
Yeah.
I got you now.
So he's
That's-
assuming that it's getting shipped to another state across seas.
That's crazy.
But
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I'm saying if you buy a new car, maybe especially a truck, I'm now hearing, you gotta look into like there are certain ones that are susceptible to theft, which is interesting. You take that shit to LA, that shit is gone in a fucking instant, bro. I promise
assuming-
you.
Bad place, bad time. Like a crew was out, found the right truck, and you just happened to park it there. They grabbed it.
It's the airports. Airports, you know, are always in the ghetto, and I've had my fair share of bullshit happen at car airports too. When I came back to town, I left like a cardboard box, and somebody smashed my window and stole it.
What I hear is inside job because like usually at the airport it's inside a parking garage. You need the ticket to get outside the parking garage.
He parked it inside a parking garage. When he went to the attendant, he went up to the attendant, and the attendant says, "You drove it out here on Saturday."
But usually you need a ticket to drive it out.
So you
gotta
think the
pay the
attendants are
ticket.
in on it and shit like that. Yeah, but hey, again, who's the attendant? They probably from the hood too.
Well, more than likely,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Fucking
More than
airports are just a disaster. That's why, honestly, there's like an argument like drive there and you know save money on an Uber, save yourself a couple
Right.
a couple hours or something like that of waiting. But
Yeah.
there is an argument for just fucking getting dropped off at the airport and
100%.
not leaving your belongings there.
Oh no, bro, no.
That's why I just go to John Wayne now, though. I just go to John Wayne, and I'll pay an extra $100. It's worth it, bro. It's so much more classy over there. Is there a nice airport out of San Diego and like a ghetto airport, or is it all just one?
San Diego's just San Diego Airport.
Just one airport.
Yeah.
Decent.
It's alright.
It's alright.
He does his job.
Compared to
You fly-
LAX.
You fly out. LAX more a little bit more like busy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I look at all airports the same to me though.
LAX is like one of the biggest in the world.
Yeah, just fly me out.
All right, bro. Hey, shout out to all the boys that were watching.
Yeah, just to end it, the comments that I got,
Oh yeah, let's touch on that.
I've got roasted.
They're saying you don't know MMA,
Oh,
all
bro.
this shit.
Tell me you don't know MMA without telling me this age like fucking milk,
Milk.
buddy. Yeah, I replied to that one. Yo, that's crazy. He just won. They
That
got
was a good one.
Oh, this is a good one. This is the best one. They got to make microphones more expensive.
They love telling us that. They love telling us that.
Oh,
I've got that one too. I've got that one too.
that was a good one. I'm gonna reply. That was a good one.
I got that one too. They told me that before. They're like, damn, they really just be giving microphones to anyone nowadays, don't they?
I gotta
I'm like,
respond.
motherfucker.
That's a good one. I see. I gave respect game though.
Yeah. There's some great comments on
Gotta
there.
pin that one. You know, that's what we should start doing. The rudest comments get pinned.
The top comments get pinned.
It's set up for Royval. It's a setup for Royval. Bro, what? Laughing. He won. Joshua Van just won. So they must have just right when fucking Van won. Just beat Brendan Royval. Everyone came back to flame. Everyone came back to flame this guy.
Everyone came back, bro.
I ain't even gonna make fun of you. I had the same thoughts as you. Van is a beast, man. Earned a fan. All right, respect.
There we
respect.
go. One fan kept it real.
That's the plus 44 punker. Shout out. I've been saying for ages that kid Van is future champion for sure. Yeah, he fucking showed us. Joshua Van made you swallow the phone you scatter. That's another good one. Yeah, this didn't age well. Ravoy just got hit with the buzzer beater. 2 microphones and a fake man. What's a podcast?
I saw that one. That one was good. That one was good.
That's the second best one. You said what again? Don't ever make confident predictions again.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
This aged well. So much confidence in Royval striking. Watch, I bet Royval's next fight is Bruno Silva. I am a Brendan Roy fan, but I have to speak facts. It was a fun fight. Oh, this guy wrote a paragraph. I can't do it.
Yeah.
He wrote a whole fucking thing. Is he question mark? Great take. Laugh aloud. Damn, we got a lot of fucking comments, bro. I didn't know we had this many.
Yeah, we did. That one went viral for the channel.
That's why you don't subscribe to people who don't know what they're talking about. 5-point fighter. Everyone saw this coming. This age, like, okay, wrong. You were just proven wrong. Yep. Okay, buddy. Okay, yeah. Can touch some grass now. Stop you nonsense, you guys. He won. That's some crow you both got to eat. 100% eating crow. This didn't age well.
That
All
was
right.
Crow for sure.
All right. He left my last Elvid. LOL. You should just quit. Well, you get to a point where they don't become funny anymore. You don't really know UFC. What now? Trash. Always hating on the Asian man. Whoa.
Yeah, I saw that one. I saw
Dude,
that one.
that's not true, dog.
That's not true.
He won. LOL. My champ won. Good shit. Just yapping out nonsense. All right. I think I went through them all.
That was solid.
How's that? If I'm wrong, I'm gonna read all the comments.
He read all the comments, so it's
that
all
will
good.
be that will be the part of the segment, part of the show. We'll have speed run.
We'll have
Ask
some
Alexa.
comment reading off for the bad takes.
Ask Alexa, roasted section. So we'll put our money where our mouth is.
And for those who didn't see in the beginning of the podcast, MTK, he's doubling down. He says now Van's getting set up against Pantoja. So from one setup to another.
Definitely doubling down.
All right, bro.
Definitely.
Shout out to fucking all the boys watching. We'll tune into you guys next week, Wednesday. And I will say this.
UFC. There's no UFC. That's right.
No UFC, but we'll keep the show going. And I'll say this: we were going to, for those a little behind the scenes, we were gonna try to effort for Sunday, post show after UFC 317, but just schedules didn't link up. I had some plans going on. MTK did, so didn't work out time slot wise. But we will be working, not every pay per view, but every now and then we'll give a couple special streams Sunday post pay per view card.
Yeah,
Kind of like fucking Guru and Mighty Mouse, but it's not going to be super consistent. It'll just be for, like, if we got to get to some stuff. Like, fucking this one should have been done, but we'll get it done on one of the next ones.